Welcome to the Babies in Business Podcast. Join your hosts, Rachel and Avram Gonzales, real-life parents and business partners. Each week on Babies in Business, Rachel and Avram create a space for entrepreneurial parents to find their own way. They'll dive into insights on topics like leadership, efficiency, self-awareness, budgeting, and human psychology as they nurture their family and build their business. Here's your hosts, Avram and Rachel.
We're here. We're back at it again. Same time, same place. It's Avram Gonzales. I'm here with Rachel Gonzales.
Hi.
And we're excited to record this podcast for you on something that we lovingly joke about constantly. I think if you're married to somebody and maybe you're doing business with that same person, there's a lightness to our quirks. If you don't have it and learn to appreciate it, you're going to be at each other's throats pretty frequently. As the topic of this episode may have alluded to, we want to talk about what it's like to slow things down in life. And I think the knee-jerk reaction most entrepreneurs have when they're faced with simplifying things, cutting things out, slowing things down is, well, how am I possibly going to accomplish all the things that I want to do? And I think this episode is going to reveal to you in a very tangible way how that's possible and why it is the way to actually get more done.
Yeah, I find that we get so much more, like you're saying, there's so much more. We get so much more when we're intentional about what we're doing, as opposed to the default of being in a hurry because we didn't prepare for something. That happens a lot. We realize that we're needing to run out the door. We need to take Lincoln over to Grammy and Grandpa's maybe, and we haven't prepped his bag. So we have him in the car, and we realize, oh my gosh, I don't have anything that he needs. So pull the baby back out, go back in the house, get everything loaded. It can be 15 to 20 minutes later because he found a toy and he wants to play with it, or he wants to go in the backyard or something like that.
It costs you more time, and then inevitably you forgot something by not being as prepared. I remember early in my internet marketing career when I heard for the first time this one gentleman shared how much time he puts in advance for the prep for the launch of a new information product. And at that time, I had launched a couple of my own products. And basically it was, I have an idea and I'm going to launch it 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now. And that was the extent of it. And then here I was up at 2 a.m. writing the launch emails and stuff the day before it goes live and on and on. And what did I get with that? I got some good results, things that I was happy with. But I heard this gentleman say he would put at least 9 months of prep time in advance of a launch. And he was known as having some of the biggest launches in internet marketing history.
Wow.
Well, it's a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
And he had a very different perspective on how to go about and arrange his day and all the activities that mattered so that he was never up against the gun at the last minute, forgetting items in the baby's bag. I want to share something with our audience that I think is very funny about when we first met. You already know what I'm going to say.
I do.
So we met and we connected very quickly, and you ended up moving in with me, I think within like 4 months or something like that.
Yeah, I had a time where one housing thing fell through.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bad situation, and I had an apartment coming up for rent that I could get into, but it was like 2-week time frame that I just needed a place. So that was. And then we never went back from that.
We never went back from that. I just also remember being in my office working and then hearing Rachel in the other room. That's now the baby's room. She had a sewing business at the time. And I'm in here in my Zen zone, like knocking stuff out. And then I would literally hear her, what sounded like running through the hallways in the home. And occasionally, I kid you not, I would hear her running into the walls. And she won't deny it either, right? Because I would ask her, I'm like, honey, did you know you have a bruise on you? how did this happen? The answer was always, I don't know. But in hindsight, now I know. She was in such a hurry. She was moving so fast, she would literally run into walls.
Well, I think we need to go a little bit further down.
Okay.
But where did that come from?
Yeah.
I have 10 siblings. I am 7 from the top. There are 6 above me, 4 below me. And if you weren't talking loudly, you weren't getting heard, if you didn't get up to get food, like right when it was served, then you were going to go starving. All these things. So if I wasn't in a hurry, then I would be left behind. So there was a lot to me being in a hurry.
Absolutely. I will not take that away from you.
And then on the flip side,
Yeah, let's hear it. So it's Rachel's turn.
you're a singleton.
That's true.
So you had nothing to be in a hurry for. So here I am, I see Abram and he's like, there are times when he's going to do this task and I know it takes me like 2 minutes to do it. And I walk in the room and it's been 2 minutes and he hasn't even started.
Like not even started. We're barely I'm still thinking about it.
Like say he's making a sandwich and he might have gotten the bread out. Let's be real. It takes me longer than 2 minutes to make a sandwich, but we'll just say for the sake of argument that it took me 2 minutes. And so in jest, we just found that certain tasks were good for you and certain tasks were good for me. Like for a while with putting Lincoln down to bed, it was like, okay, if you want the dishes done, Avram needs to take care of the baby.
Absolutely.
Because I'll do the dishes. I've got a very systematized way of doing it and it just gets done really quickly. Not that you don't do dishes, but it's not done as quickly. But yeah, just hurried. I always felt hurried. And having Lincoln just made me really slow down and be intentional. I was not about to fall down, which had happened. I was not about to hit my tummy on the wall and hurt Lincoln. I wasn't about to do that. So Lincoln taught me a lot, like being more aware of my body.
You had more body awareness coming from that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Tell me about your perspective on how I would just run into a situation or something we knew would need to be done. And my response would be,
It can wait.
oh yeah, this one really got under her skin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm the person that I was laying in bed yesterday evening and we'd gone to bed about 10 o'clock. And I was okay until I thought about a credit card that we had made a purchase on, and I hadn't set it up for automatic payment to go through for a payment. And I could not sleep. I'm the person that got up at 11:30 and waited for my computer to do an entire reboot so that I could get that going. Okay, so Avram is not that person. So we would actually kind of butt heads. I mean, butting heads is a very loose term because it wasn't like that.
It never mattered.
It never mattered. But no, it was more like it just hurt me a little bit to know that we had to wait on something when I can make something happen about it. So I had a really hard time understanding the concept of it can wait. I just did not understand that it could wait.
Why?
Especially because I felt like it was so important, but also everything was important. If I could do it, then why not do it? So that really just followed me. I don't know. It just kept going from feeling like I was in a hurry all the time growing up. And it just never changed.
So it would kind of drive you up the wall because you're the person that just gets it done right away. If it's on top of mind, it'll keep you up at night.
Well, that's why I have the role I have in our business.
That's
I'm the
true.
one that gets shit done. I answer the emails if it's a client interaction or something like that, keeping things going, or if it's a vendor that needs to get something done and they need some approvals and stuff. I'm the one that goes in and does those approvals, not Avram. He is not going to go in and check his email faithfully every single day to look for that one thing because he's got important things to do, more important things. It can wait.
It can wait. And I think that's kind of like the point of this podcast and this discussion that we're having today is that there are so many things on your list to do as an entrepreneur.
For sure.
And that's not even including the things that you are now responsible for at home, raising a family.
Oh, God.
And so it's very easy, I think, to find yourself lying awake at night, going over all of the things that you still have yet to do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's an exercise, I think, to be able to unplug from the business. You hear it a lot. And I think this is the entrepreneur hustle culture that, entrepreneurs can't turn it off.
Yeah.
But I think that if you can't turn it off and you can't figure this out, it is a crash course for burnout at some point eventually.
Well, and it's worse than 40 hours a week. You think about it. I mean, I don't know about you, the listening people here, but I didn't get into business for myself to work more
No.
and harder and longer hours. I want time off. I want to be able to take that time to go to these different places that I want to see or have these different experiences. I don't want to work more. I want to have the ability to recognize what's important and do those important things. So kind of a transition into how I got to understand very clearly about it can wait. And Lincoln has been he's been an opportunity. He helps me see opportunities often. So we have times all the time where maybe babysitting will fall through or something else will fall through, whatever that is, and Lincoln won't have the care that we needed and that we required or that we were counting on. And I started out really frustrated, but what happens is I would then tell Avram, okay, great. You do the things that need to get done and I will take care of Lincoln. And in order for me to be happy about that and okay with that, it was actually really important for me to just be present with Lincoln. I wasn't multitasking. I wasn't trying to get work done too. I wasn't sitting at the computer trying to do all the things that I felt were important and needed to be done because I could do them. That I was really able to ask myself, what is important in this situation?
Building a business while raising a family can be tough to juggle for any entrepreneur. Knowing where to focus and how to spend your limited time is critical to your success. That's why Babies in Business has produced and made available a fantastic audio resource for you. It's titled 5 Key Focus Areas to Build a Profitable Business Without Burnout. During this short training, Rachel and Avram peel back the curtain on their secrets to building a business that serves your family, your dreams, and beyond. To download your free copy of the 5 Key Focus Areas, go to babiesandbiz.com/download. Again, that's babiesandbiz.com/download to get your free copy. We hope you enjoy. Now, back to the podcast.
It's important that Avram is able to work and I can be with Lincoln. And this is a blessing. I want to be with Lincoln. I want to have that time to spend with him, take him to the park or play with him outside or whatever that is, but not be frustrated with him for the fact that our babysitting fell through. And that question is, what is important here? The important thing here is that I get to take care of Lincoln and that we have a good day, that he and I can have this great connection instead of me being so mad or frustrated or whatever those feelings are that I'm feeling, that I can just allow that to be okay. So I just realized in a very real way, it can wait. Those things that are on my to-do list can wait, that I will find that time. And we've designed our weeks to make it possible to actually get the things done that I need to get done.
Well, and you visit that to-do list at some point and you realize a couple things. A bunch of the stuff that was on there got knocked out, even if it wasn't
Correct.
top of mind, right? And then also there's a bunch of things on there that never got taken care of, which means one of two things. It wasn't ever that important anyway.
Right.
Or it's assigned to the wrong person on the team. So maybe it's
Right.
not actually for you to do. It might be for somebody else to do.
Right, because maybe there's a roadblock. Sometimes there have been things that I have on my list, but didn't realize you have something to do first or another team member. So it's true.
For me, never being in a hurry means always being at peace with whatever the circumstances are, and understanding that certain things, many things, are just not in your control.
For sure.
And so you're literally day by day doing the best that you can with what you have, which I think is like the definition of entrepreneurship. Besides creating jobs for other people, it's being scrappy, figuring out a way with the resources that you have to do something that's new, innovative, or just helpful. And being okay with letting certain things go to the wayside is a muscle that you have to practice. The control freak in you is going to resist that.
Yeah.
The perfectionist in you is going to beat you up about that. But at the end of the day, it's a small number of things that we are doing that are impactful for the bottom line of your business and that are impactful on the state of your family.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember when we were actually hanging out with a client of ours in a social environment, and we were talking about the focus for the next quarter and looking at how you break the business down into a couple of different categories. You're going to be looking at how you're acquiring customers, how you're converting those customers, how you're serving them, and then how you're managing your cash flow and your finances. And any business is going to have some problems in pretty much every single one of those areas all at the same time. As an operator, though, you have to choose which of those areas is the area that requires the focus and is the most important.
Right.
And then you literally let everything else burn. I remember looking at this entrepreneur and the look on his face was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, the business has been doing good enough in all these areas until now to get you to this point. Like, it's actually working well enough. You only have so much energy to fine tune and focus on a couple things at a time.
Sure.
The rest of it's going to be it's going to be okay. There are literally several sections in the Tao Te Ching. We've, I think, talked about this in other podcasts. We have listened to a couple times together, a version by Wayne Dyer, his interpretation of the Tao. We'll throw out in the show notes. But there's full entire verses of that ancient text that talk about how important it is to just let stuff go and not even think about it or bother with it or worry about it. And then you find that it takes care of itself.
Yeah. Well, something that helped me, because it was really a mindset change and shift for me, was when I was going in with a therapist, and she was helping me understand. So I needed a reality check, actually, in being a mom. And that was that we'll just use the babysitting thing again. Because I had come in one day, I was really frustrated. Babysitting had fallen through. I wasn't able to get stuff done. And I had a lot of emotions around that. And she said, well, when it comes down to it, as a parent, the only person that has to reschedule their day when things fall through is you. So I was able to recalibrate my expectations as a parent. And that was that. This is totally normal. Let people know when you're scheduling with them. I have babysitting now, but if that falls through, I will need to reschedule. And it allowed me to realize, so first off, I had a reality check. I was able to see what it's really like to be a parent. Stuff falls through all the time, and we are their sole providers. So we got to do that. And that was able to give me enough peace, because here's the thing about me. I love to be prepared. I think the hardest part about being a parent for me is that I don't know what I need to prepare for. So there's things that come all the time, and I just don't feel prepared for it. So I feel like a failure because I wasn't prepared for it. But how was I to prepare for it, having not known about it? So the reality checks have been really, really helpful for me, and helping me to also just be able to say, it can wait, and not being in a hurry. Having that mindset change around how I can get the end result that I want, but takes a little bit of finagling to get there, and different mindset.
Mindset for sure. That's what this has been all about. Got some resources I want to drop on you as a listener right now. I think that'll be helpful for you in addition to this podcast. We did a podcast several months ago that had to do with batching. I forget the actual name of that podcast, but we'll throw it here in the show notes if you go over to the website. You can find that there. But that's one of the big things that we have done that's allowed us to never be in a hurry, is how we structure our day and how we think about the items and things in our business that require ongoing attention, how we're able to really get ahead of those things and create more space in our schedule moving forward.
Right.
The other resource I want to drop is the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. If you've heard this before and it's been mentioned a lot and you've still not picked it up, you need to read it. It's just going to simplify things for you. You're going to have a lot of resistance to it the first time you read it because you're like, how could one thing be the most important and I could just shrug off the rest? When you start practicing it, you realize truly how much stuff doesn't matter, but that one thing really does. Any other resources or thoughts that come to mind for you, Rach?
I was just thinking that sometimes we just get into a rut. We don't think about, we're not checking ourselves, the rationalizations that we have and things that come up for us. And sometimes we don't really look at what could change. Like you're saying, the one thing, I just think, as we've gone through different trainings, the most impactful thing that we got out of it was mindset stuff around mindset, that sometimes we just need to question the way that we're thinking about it. Because when we have our mindset checked, every single time we look at each other and we're like, that makes total sense. How could we not have thought about that or arrived there on our own? But that's the point, is that having the outside influence is so helpful. So sometimes it's just listening to somebody else and getting a different perspective. I think that's really, really helpful. If you're struggling with feeling like you're in a hurry and always feeling like you're behind on everything, just think about your perspective and maybe mindset stuff.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap. Those resources for you that we're going to throw in the show notes, I looked them up while Rachel was talking. Two of them, they go hand in hand. Episode 11, how to get ahead in your business and stop playing defense. And then episode 12, it's not what it sounds like. It's the example, but episode 12 is a month of meal planning in 30 minutes. That is also a tack on about batching. That's just shared in a unique way. Meal planning is the example, but it's much, much bigger than that. It's and you'll see that when you listen to those.
Kind of a mindset. Again, those two talk a lot about mindset.
Yeah. So we appreciate you for listening in. If you could do us a huge favor that would move mountains for the Babies in Business podcast, is to go on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. So it is helpful when you click that 5 stars, but it is even more impactful when you leave at least a sentence, couple sentences about what you are getting out of the podcast, why you listen, why you appreciate it. Leave that as a review so others can see it when they're thinking about, should I check this out? Maybe they don't know the awesomeness that's here, but you'll be that invitation for them to take a listen. With that, please find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the places. That's at Babies in Biz Pod is the handle. You can find us everywhere. We'd love to have you there interacting with us. We take short form clips from the podcast and share them there. You can share them with friends and join the conversation. So with that, we appreciate you and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Babies in Business podcast. Who do you know that would benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them and post about it on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode, free downloads, and connect with the rest of the community at babiesandbiz.com. We'll see you next time.